We're getting ready to go, preparing. And I want to make sure I say that right. Is it Calypse or Calypsis?
It's CLIPSAS. CLIPSAS.
Okay, okay. Here we go, gentlemen, here we go. Welcome to John G. Jones Research Lodge number 147. Today is going to be a very interesting conversation today. I'm looking forward to it. And if you are on the John G. Jones Research Lodge 147 today, we got some very interesting guests for you. And I'm pretty excited about it because this is going to get us opportunity for a lot of us to kind of see who's who and what's going on in the CLIPSAS fraternity or society. Am I saying this right?
Well, it's actually an association of Grand Lodges.
Okay, okay. So who wants to go first? Brother Lewis, you want to introduce yourself, or do you want Brother Ernest to go first?
Brother Ernie, he's one of the members of my lodge. I'll let him go first because this way I'll do it after. Go ahead,
Okay,
brother.
Brother Ernest, go right ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Ernest Ains. I'm a member of AJ Jones Lodge number 1 in Staten Island and part of Omega Grand Lodge of New York.
Okay, all right, I'm familiar. What else? I mean, you got to be more to it than that. That's it? That's all you got for me?
Yeah, for right now, I guess.
All right. All right. I have my brother on. He's on here all the time. He got the monk down there. But Brother Morpheus, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm Morpheus, and I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm part of King Cyrus Lodge number 2, and the Grand Lodge is Harmony Masons of America.
All right. I have Worshipful Master Rowe. I don't know if he can hear me or not, but he's certainly welcome to turn in.
Greetings, brothers. Greetings, greetings. You know what I mean? It's Worshipful Master Rhodes from True Kinsman Lodge of Las Vegas.
All
True
right.
Kinsman Lodge number 1. I'm part of the Western Masonic jurisdiction. Greetings, brothers. Just tuning in. We just got done packing up for a clothing drive we have next week. So just wanted to tune in and let you brothers know I'm here. And
Hey, that's it. I appreciate it. Well, I'm your host for the day. Brothers call me Tony Muhammad or Tony Hawkins. Either one would do. But tonight we're gonna get right into this, and I myself definitely gonna get a kick out of this because I'm being introduced into this association, the CLIPSAS Association, and it's a ton of information out there. And I believe I have the 2 best individuals on here to really bring that information forth and really lay the foundation to what the association is all about. So Brother Ernest or Brother Lewis, either you can take the ham and go right ahead.
All right, I'm gonna be the one speaking primarily on CLIPSAS. My name is Louis Daly. I'm the Grand Master of the Most Worshipful Omega Grand Lodge of New York. I was also I'm also a past president of CLIPSAS, and I'm currently the president of FASCREA. FASCREA, the cycle stands for Federación Americana de Supremos Consejos del REA, American Federation of Supreme Councils of the Scottish Rites of America. This is based primarily in South America.
Okay.
I was elected this past October for a two-year term. So do you want me to explain what CLIPSAS is, or you just want to ask some
Yeah, go right ahead. Who are the CLIPSAS Association? Who are they?
Well, what is CLIPSAS? CLIPSAS is an association that's primarily based in Europe. And it was started back in 1961.
Mm-hmm.
And it came about after there was a schism between the Grand Lodge of England and the Grand Orient of France. So the Grand Orient of France and the other European obedience, Brussels, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Luxembourg, Sweden, Austria, just about all the other obedience who did not follow England, decided to create an association that would unite the liberal Grand Lodges of the world. And so CLIPSAS was born from that idea. From 11 lodges, it has grown to over 85 lodges throughout the whole world. There's about 150, 160,000 members that makes up CLIPSAS. We have a General Assembly every year in different parts of the world. The recent one was in Portugal, and the next one is scheduled for Istanbul, which is supposed to be May 16th, I think, through the 18th. Don't remember the exact dates. It's supposed to be in Istanbul. And as I mentioned, it's been around since 1961. Now, what does CLIPSAS do? Well, I mean, the whole idea of CLIPSAS is to be a liaison between Grand Lodges throughout the world, not so much a super obedience, but just a liaison that will unite different Grand Lodges around the world, with the purpose of working together, or as one of the past presidents said, to unite that which is dispersed, meaning liberal Grand Lodges that have similar ideas coming together to work on a common goal. CLIPSAS is part of the United Nations. We are an NGO working out of ECOSOC, and I've had the privilege of actually speaking at the UN on behalf of CLIPSAS, which is probably first time a Masonic organization has ever spoken at the UN. So I've had that privilege to do so. And I'm currently the head of CLIPSAS UN committee. I get to name the different representatives here in New York, also in Geneva and in Vienna. And we're working actively with different NGOs around the world on different things. Primarily when it comes to working with women. Of course, women always have it rough throughout the world, and with the kids, the children, as well as trying to promote goodwill throughout the world.
So my question is France still part of CLIPSAS?
Well, France is not a part of CLIPSAS. They left CLIPSAS about a year ago. Well, actually before the pandemic, because there were some differences. France is a very powerful Masonic organization. I mean, they have in excess of 50,000 members. So they're super powerful. They're one of the biggest organizations in the world. So France, together with Belgium, left CLIPSAS. And one of the reasons being is that they could not sort of like bend CLIPSAS to their will. This is the second time that they left CLIPSAS. The first time was in 1991, I think, when they had a meeting in Chile. Again, because of the same reasons, they left CLIPSAS. I mean, notwithstanding that, CLIPSAS is still a powerful organization. You're talking about over 150,000 members throughout the world with 35 plus countries. That's pretty powerful. That's bigger than anything else, any association in the world right now. And we're on every continent just about, from Africa to America to Asia to South America. The only continent that we're not on is Oceania, which is Australia and New Zealand. But then again, those are very strong English type Mason.
Now, in being part of CLIPSAS, a Grand Lodge may seek its membership. What does it offers that Grand Lodge?
Well, it's not so much what it offers, it's what does the Grand Lodge bring? What does the Grand Lodge bring? I mean, why would a Grand Lodge want to join CLIPSAS? Could it be because they want to get prestige? Could it be because they have an agenda doing something that they want more assistance with, like Masons throughout the world. It's not so much what CLIPSAS can do for you. I mean, CLIPSAS brings his name. So when a Grand Lodge join CLIPSAS and they say they're a member of CLIPSAS, well, that carries a lot of clout.
Okay. I can only speak about my own personal experience of how I've learned about the association, which is very unique. And I understand that they have a footing definitely in New York amongst the Brotherhood of Grand Lodges there. And now is CLIPSAS still part of that, or is that still just the Brotherhood of Grand Lodges?
Well, the Brotherhood of Grand Lodges, comprises about 10 Masonic Grand Lodges here in New York, of which Omega is a part of the Brotherhood. There was a talk a few years ago of the Brotherhood, well, not the Brotherhood, but the members of the Brotherhood joining CLIPSAS. And today we've had discussion with a couple of lodges who are interested in joining CLIPSAS, but the Brotherhood is not a part of CLIPSAS.
Okay. So how would a Grand Lodge seek membership into the association?
Well, you could directly write a letter to the Secretary of CLIPSAS, or through another Grand Lodge, that can introduce you to the association. And there is an application that has to be filled out and made and submitted. And then the secretary or the president of CLIPSAS will send 3 Grand Lodges of the continent or of the country to sort of like investigate that petitioner.
Okay.
And they'll actually visit you and talk to your members, look at your records, look at your books, your constitution, your bylaws, and just how free your members are as far as freedom of conscience is concerned.
Okay.
Because CLIPSAS, one of their tenets is absolute freedom of conscience, which means you have to be able to think for yourself as opposed to following, just what your Grand Lodge says.
But isn't that the idea of the Masonic order, is for one to be a free thinker, one who thinks,
yes, it is. But you'd be surprised how many Grand Lodges seek to join CLIPSAS. And it's like, we tell our members what to think or what to do. And if they can't, they just can't speak for themselves, which is not what CLIPSAS is all about. I mean, even though the Grand Lodge may join CLIPSAS, the members still have to have a free mind.
Okay. So does CLIPSAS have anything to do with the Confederation of Grand Lodges of Europe or anything like that?
Well, the Confederation of Grand Lodges of Europe is something totally different. You have some members of the Confederation that belongs to CLIPSAS, but they're two separate entities.
So is it safe to say, I'm not really for sure, that various associations, because I've come across a variety of associations, like for instance, my Grand Lodge is part of the Council of Grand Lodges for North and South America, which is a foreign association of Grand Lodges. And then you have GLUA, Grand Lodges United of Americas, North and South America. So I'm finding that there are a variety of associations, and I'm seeing that CLIPSAS, make sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, is one of the oldest to do it, though. Am I on the right trail with that?
Well, GLUA and some of the others are not so much associations. I mean, they're organizations, Grand Lodges.
Okay.
CLIPSAS is legally registered in the prefecture of Paris, France. So it's a legal organization, governed by the laws of France. A lot of these other organizations don't have that legality with them, and they don't have, of course, the clout that CLIPSAS has. I mean, CLIPSAS stands for it's CLIPSAS, and it's almost in English it would be the liaison center of the powers of the signatures, the powers of the signers of Strasbourg, which is where it was first created. I mean, the sickles in French is Centre de Délégation y Potences Signature de l'Association de Strasbourg. which is, it's a French um, word, so to speak. So just translating to English.
Okay. Well, before we go any further, I just want to send everybody a big shout out who's just coming in and asking, what is the conversation piece for tonight? The conversation piece for tonight is we're talking about the association or CLIPSAS Association. This association is made up of various Grand Lodges across the world, per se, that comes together to, and like-minded, to assist and aid, to do a lot of things. And I'm finding out tonight that they even have a seat at the UN, which says a lot about what they are really involved with. And I'd like to hear a little bit more about that seat that you have at the UN, that piece that you was talking about earlier.
Well, it's in ECOSOC, and ECOSOC is the Economical and Social Branch of the United Nations. And one of the reasons why CLIPSAS sought to join this particular branch of the UN is because of its, how far-reaching it is. I mean, ECOSOC is throughout the whole world. And by joining ECOSOC, we're able to work with other NGOs and non-governmental organizations that are all over the world. And we have done projects in Brazil, we have done projects in the Congo, we have done projects in various Madagascar, for instance, in Peru, in South America. So we have teamed up with different organizations to do different things around the world, and that's what it's all about. And ECOSOC is that branch of the UN that sort of like branches off throughout the whole world.
Okay, so the union of the various sovereign obediences, when they come together, the ideal is that each person should be a free thinker within the confines of Freemasonry in order to really see this whole thing come to fruition. So with CLIPSAS being the quarterback, per se, do they have an agenda when they go to the UN?
Well, we did a paper. Well, we do different papers at the UN, but the last paper we did, which was what they call the quadrennial report, which is one that I presented at the UN myself. It spoke on the 2030 UN goal, which is the I can't think of the word. It escapes me at the moment. But the whole idea is for the UN to be able to get countries to work together in developing something.
Okay.
And the development goal of the UN, and what we spoke on wasn't so much the development part of it, but the underdeveloped, because you have some countries that can't compete with other countries. For instance, Togo in Africa is a very poor country. So there's no way that Togo could compete with the United States in terms of reaching a certain goal. So we try to team in with other NGOs, work with these smaller countries to develop their own goals that they can use. Whether it's production of just, some people, like from Madagascar, for instance, they do a lot of garment making and different things, and Togo, they do a lot of stuff with straw, making straw hats and different things. So we try to work with them on that way that they can develop, as opposed to we're trying to compete with the United States or a rich country. So we kind of deviated from what when they talk about the development is, we kind of deviated and say, let's talk about the underdeveloped countries. What can they do, as opposed to trying to follow the same goal as the rich countries.
Okay. Well, this is a personal question. Do you believe that the universal chain of Freemasonry is broken?
Well, when you have Masons who say that some are regulars and some are irregulars or clandestines, yeah, it's broken. One of the tenets of Masonry is that we're supposed to all be one. But if your politic is not the same, then there's a broken chain, and that's why one of the reasons why CLIPSAS was created to try and remedy that. But of course, when you have the English with their ideas, and then of course CLIPSAS and the other lodges with theirs, There's a broken chain. I think if at some point we would come together as one, regardless of whether you're regular or irregular, I think we would be a force to be reckoned with. But that would have to be everybody setting aside egos and personalities in order to work together.
Well,
If that was the case, then we would truly be, Freemasons.
well, looking at what CLIPSAS has already done, knowing that they've been around for a while now, it seems to me from what I've read that they're on that track. I mean, to unite and to bring forth other Grand Lodges into that association.
Well, to an extent, CLIPSAS has been successful. But when you have the Grand Orient of France, when you have the Grand Orient of Belgium, two of the biggest organizations in the world, who, because they can't control a certain segment, when you have them say that we're going to leave the association, then yeah, we still haven't accomplished everything. If we was to accomplish everything, then everybody be working together, irregardless. But of course, if you can control an organization that's has 35 countries with 150,000 plus members, if you can control that, that's a lot of power.
It is, but the process to bring into the fold and to unify per se should super exceeds another jurisdiction ideal of what they want to do with the organization in its totality. I just think that the ideal, from what I've read in regards to CLIPSAS, has really spread it from what I've read, and it's kind of unique because I don't see another organization out there that's doing it that way.
Well, I mean, yes, we have surpassed, what these other Grand Lodges want, and of course, everybody's so united. But when we talk about unity, we talk about the whole world. So yeah, I mean, the members of CLIPSAS are united, and they've shown that by solidarity with everybody, as regardless of what the Grand Orient of France or the Grand Orient of Belgium wanted. So yeah, there's a unity there. But when you look at the global picture, well, then we still have a ways to go.
Okay. So how long have you been a part of it?
Well, Omega Grand Lodge was the first, well, the second lodge in the United States that belonged to CLIPSAS. And one of the reasons why we belong to CLIPSAS was because of the racial problems that happened that, we all know about in this country.
Right.
We sought to expand ourselves by going overseas to join other Masonic organizations since we couldn't do it within our own country. And I've been going to CLIPSAS meetings since 1991. I think was my first. No, yeah, 1992 was my first meeting to CLIPSAS.
Okay. And
I've been going ever since, and I haven't missed a year. And
so my next question is that when am I going to get that invite to go with you?
Well, you submitted an application, so your invitation is right there. But the next time we meet in Istanbul, you're going to be right next to me.
And that's all I need to know, because I need to start saving my coins. I definitely need to start doing that. So with that being said, and understanding and bringing all that into play with CLIPSAS, and knowing that, I think you said you was the first Grand Lodge out of the United States to join it. Do you know if there's any other besides myself, and I think the brother Rashid Muhammad, Grand Master out of North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, are there any other Grand Lodges that you think or have even mentioned in regards to becoming or seeking membership into the association?
Well, we're the second Grand Lodge. The first Grand Lodge was the Serenísima Gran Logia de Lengua Española. That's the Spanish Lodge here in New York. We joined after they did, because they actually invited us to join. Then you have the Haitian Grand Lodge of New York, St. Jane. You have New York Grand Lodge, which is also based here in New York. Of course, you have the brother from South Carolina, the Grand Lodge of South Carolina. You have the Gran Logia Hispana de Norte America, which is based in New Jersey. And you have Grand Lodge, although they haven't been to a CLIPSAS meeting in many years, from Miami, which is also a Spanish Grand Lodge. And we have 3 Grand Lodges from Haiti who are part of CLIPSAS. One is based in Boston, and of course we have 2 here in New York. Then of course you have Grand Lodges in Canada, and of course just about the whole of South America. It's all members of CLIPSAS.
That's pretty interesting that you've named these various Grand Lodges in regards to being part of CLIPSAS, and I can kind of see the framework that it sits for these Grand Lodges to become part of this association, which really gives it some validity as far as the fellowship, as far as the name, as far as being part of something that is bigger than itself. This is what I see that CLIPSAS does. Help me out a little bit if I'm right, if I'm wrong, if I'm on the right line.
Well, again, that's what CLIPSAS does. I mean, it brings dispersed organizations together. So if you're out there in the wilderness, CLIPSAS says, come join us so you could be part of this big family. Now you got to realize that CLIPSAS is not just masculine. You also have female Grand Lodges, or you have mixed lodges that are also part of CLIPSAS, which when you talk about the English lodges or the American lodges, sometimes, they see that as a problem when it comes to females in Masonry. But the rest of the world has always had female Masons.
So how long has CLIPSAS had female Masons within its ranks?
Well, the first 11 Grand Lodges that made up CLIPSAS were all, the first 7 actually, were all masculine lodges. So the female Grand Lodges didn't come into CLIPSAS until maybe 5 or 6 years after CLIPSAS joined, after CLIPSAS was founded.
Okay.
And we have some of the most important female Grand Lodges in the world. Romania, you have the Grand Lodge, the Feminine Grand Lodge of France, of Belgium, of Spain, of Portugal, of Italy, Sweden. So you have, then you also have mixed lodges. So there's a vast representation when it comes to females.
Well, I'm going to send another shout out to the brothers who have just tuned in, the brothers from Brazil, the brothers from Michigan. The brother made sure that he said he's from the mainstream Grand Lodge of Michigan. I want to welcome you aboard. I want to welcome aboard also the Most Wishful National Grand Lodge. PHO is in the house. Definitely want to send you a big shout out. And for all those brothers and sisters who are online right now, definitely want to say thank you for tuning in. And tonight we're talking in regards to the CLIPSAS and what that association of Grand Lodges is all about and how long they've been around, what are their goals, those sort of things are what we're asking tonight. If you have questions that you'd like to ask, please put them in the chat and I'll be sure to ask Brother Lewis Daly those same questions. So we're going to continue to go right ahead and as he's breaking down what CLIPSAS is and what it is not. So we kind of got a little familiar with what it is. Could you tell us what CLIPSAS is not?
CLIPSAS is not a super obedience. It is not an obedience.
Please mute yourselves. Who's ever coming on live, please mute yourself. Go right ahead, brother.
Sometimes, it is mistaken to be as an obedience, but it's not an obedience. It's an association of Grand Lodges. So that's what it's not. It doesn't dictate or tell Grand Lodges what to do or anything of the nature. It just functions strictly as a liaison center, or sort of like bringing everybody together to work, towards a certain goal.
Okay. Someone just asked, is there a website for it?
There is a website, and it's CLIPSAS.org.
You can catch that tonight. It is CLIPSAS.org. And I'm quite sure you'll be able to find a lot of information there. So, Brother Ernest, I see you sitting back in the cut. How long have you been a part of CLIPSAS?
I've been a member about 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
Brother Ernie has been a member of CLIPSAS because of the fact that Omega Grand Lodge is a member of CLIPSAS. That's the reason why he's a member of CLIPSAS.
Well, what has your experience been like?
I got to meet other brothers and sisters from different countries, and we conversate. We fellowship together.
Okay.
And got to know each other.
And I can imagine that brothers and sisters in the chat room, when you say you got to meet other sisters and brothers, and knowing that Brother Lewis has just said clearly, hey, it's kind of mixed, but you're sovereign. And that can be kind of mixed bag for those who truly, in my opinion only, for those who truly don't understand the concept of Freemasonry. Because Brother Lewis said something earlier that what's done outside of the borders of the United States is pretty normal as far as female Freemasons are concerned. I mean, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong or right.
Well, that is true. I mean, North America rather, is one of the few, it's just about the only country where there are no native female Grand Lodges. I mean, there are female lodges from other countries who are, because the members live here, they work here, or they're part of some government, organization. But as far as being a native female Grand Lodge, I don't think that there is one. I mean, we have the Eastern Star.
Okay.
But as far as a native female American Grand Lodge, I don't know if there is one. I know there was rumors for there to be one, but I don't know if it's actually ever came to fruition. But yeah, once you step outside the world, you're gonna see female lodge all over the place.
Okay, I see there's a brother, Brylan Gaines, who's in the chat tonight from the Most Wishful Golden. I want to make sure Mission Lodge out of Washington Union, George Washington Union.
Yeah, Washington Union. They're
Yeah.
a part of CLIPSAS, right?
Okay.
They're a member of CLIPSAS as well. Yeah.
Okay, greetings. I'm glad to have you on. Let me see. Could you check the website and see if it's correct? It is CLIPSAS, that's CLIPSIS.org.
CLIPSAS.
SAS.
CLIPSAS. CLIPSAS.
Okay. They had an I stuck in there. So for those of you who are on tonight, Brother Morpheus, is there any question you'd like to ask?
I was trying to look up the website. It looked like it's in a different language though. I must be on the wrong one or something.
Well, I mean, it should be in 3 languages. It should be able to translate English, French, and Spanish. Those are the official language of CLIPSAS. So you may see it probably in French, if anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then you should be able to hit a little button up on the right-hand side and translate into, it should go into English or Spanish, depending on what you want.
Yeah, I don't see English, but I'll figure it out. What year was y'all formed?
CLIPSAS was formed in 1961.
Okay.
And with that being said, what was the name of it before it became CLIPSAS?
I mean, it was
Because I think, and not to put you on the spot, but I think there was another name before it became, because I was doing some reading on it.
Yeah. I mean, before it actually became CLIPSAS, that was known as by another name, but I don't quite remember exactly what it was.
Okay.
But I mean, it was known. 1961 when it was actually formed, but it goes way back, just after World War II. That's when it actually started, and of course, they started back then. Then they had to stop. Then they started up again, and then they had a riff, and then they had to start up again. Of course, just like when you start a new organization, it always takes a little time for things to come together. And then in 1960, 1950, 59, 60s when they came up with the name CLIPSAS, and they finally settled on it when they had the meeting in Strasbourg.
Now, there you go. It's called, say that name again.
Strasbourg.
Yes, that was the name before it became, when it was amended.
Well, Strasbourg is the city in France where it was created.
Right. Okay. Because I was going back, I was like, I thought I seen the name, but you said that. on the site that I was reading, that was the name for a minute, and then it changed.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. Now, my next question would be, is that during your tenure as member of CLIPSAS, and you're seeing various Grand Lodges from different associations come in, and you're seeing how it's spreaded. Have you ran into any conflicts with other Masonic associations of jurisdiction or anything like that?
No, you mean like if somebody says, well, you don't belong here or something like that?
Well, just the mere fact of what you're trying to do, please mute yourself. Just the mere fact of what you're trying to do and bring in.
No, because again, CLIPSAS is in just about every country. So any country we go into, there's always a CLIPSAS member there. So if there's another organization, they're pretty much that country or that lodge probably belongs to CLIPSAS as well. So we haven't had, or at least I haven't heard of any conflicts between organizations, different organizations that's around. If anything, we try to work together with some of them if we have pretty much the same goal.
It's okay. Is there a particular way for the opening ceremonies of your rites, or the way CLIPSAS open up for their meetings? Is there a ritualistic way they do it? You don't have to go into details, but generalize whether there is or isn't a particular way that you may open your general session.
No, I mean, again, CLIPSAS is not a super Masonic organization or affiliation or association, so it doesn't have what you call like an opening.
Okay.
We have the General Assembly, so the president calls it to order, whatever time is designated. But before that, we have what we call a colloquium, and a colloquium is where they present different papers on different topics.
Oh.
That's where we get our work and ideas from. What are we going to work on next? So that comes out from the colloquium. It's almost like presenting essays on different topics. So that's day one, and then the second day is when you have the General Assembly.
Okay.
And that opens up, the sound of the gavel, but not in a Masonic way, just like any other association opening up the meeting. Now there is a ritual work, but that's done by the Grand Lodge of the country that is hosting, but not by CLIPSAS itself. So let's say, for instance, we've hosted CLIPSAS. I think we hosted CLIPSAS, you brothers correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was in 2015, I'm not sure. We've hosted it twice. And at the end of the meeting, we would have a lodge meeting, and we would invite the members of CLIPSAS, to come in and, just to have a regular, and that will be the closing. But
Okay.
that it's not run by CLIPSAS, it's run by the hosting Grand Lodge or hosting country.
Okay. My next question would be for those who are in the chat. If you have any questions that you would like to put up, please do. And we're gonna get right into it. Brother Morpheus, go ahead. What's your question?
I was going to ask, is it invitation only, or how do how do Grand Lodges become part of it? And then you said a member is a member in each state. Can you be an individual member, or a whole Grand Lodge has to join?
Yeah, it has to be the Grand Lodge. It can't be individual member. It has to be on a Grand Lodge level. So your Grand Lodge will have to make petition to join. So you can't have like an individual lodge of a Grand Lodge become member of CLIPSAS. It has to be the Grand Lodge.
So with that being said, what I'm seeing is that CLIPSAS itself offers that Grand Lodge to be a part of this association, which is worldwide. Is there any monetary cost to being part of CLIPSAS?
Yeah, everybody got to give $100,000.
Now, I'm gonna tell you, the reason I asked the question is because most of the time, when brothers are talking about the various associations that they are a part of, usually there's a fee.
Right.
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, and I mean there's nothing wrong with the question. I mean, there is a fee, well, actually, to join CLIPSAS, there's no fee. It doesn't cost anything.
Right.
But once you become a member, you pay 125 euros per year, plus 50 cents euros per member. So it's very cheap, to join. To join CLIPSAS. I mean, you would think that you would pay a lot more than that. But if you're paying 125 euros, which is probably about $135, probably less, maybe $125, and 50 cents per member. If you have 100 members, you're talking about what, $50? So 175 euros per year. I mean, that's almost, we said that we should charge a lot more. But again, you're talking about 35 countries. So that's and then some of these countries, some of these Grand Lodges have thousands of members.
Right.
So it adds up. I mean, France has 50,000 alone, so they build, and they wouldn't pay for 50,000. They would pay for like maybe 8,000. So they weren't paying for the whole amount. So a small lodge actually pays more than what a big lodge would pay. So if a small lodge has 300 members, but they're paying for 300 members. A big lodge who may have 20,000 members probably only paying for 8,000, 7,000 members. So, it's kind of, proportion like that.
Right.
And the reason why it's like that this way, if, you don't want to have somebody who's paying for 50,000 members say, well, I'm paying more, so I need to have more say than what anybody else says.
Yeah, that does happen.
This way it's kind of fair, in a sense.
Okay. Brother Merrill, what's your question?
I said, what kind of organization is CLIPSAS as compared to Freemason? What's the difference?
Well, CLIPSAS, I mean, again, it's an association of Grand Lodges. So, the members themselves are all the Grand Lodges. So they're all Freemasons. So there is no difference in terms of that. The only difference is that the association is bringing these Grand Lodges together. That's the only difference.
So Grand Lodges from across the world?
From across the world, yeah. We have, I mean, we have about 35 countries.
Okay.
And that's I'm saying 35. It could be probably a little bit more, but it's about 35 countries around the world that are a member of CLIPSAS.
Okay.
Honorable
Go ahead. Who was up? Who's going to say something?
Honorable Hawkins, is this kind of like the thing that you created that all the Grand Lodges can be part of?
Okay, I didn't create anything, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Regards to, no, this is totally different.
Okay.
The United General Grand Masonic Congress that was recently incorporated, formed, is built to unify what we consider the Black Masons here in America. That's what that car is for.
Okay.
But my understanding of CLIPSAS is bigger than that. This is what I'm getting. This is what I've read. This is what I've gotten out of it. CLIPSAS is bigger than that because CLIPSAS is clearly saying, look, we're all Masons. Period. That's first and foremost. Now, what can we do unitedly as Masons all over the world in regards to bettering ourselves? I know the other Grand Lodges do for they donate money, they do a lot of other things, but unitedly, what can we do? That's what I'm understanding. And what CLIPSAS is offering is that other Grand Lodges who consider you to be regular clandestine or whatever, we're saying, look, we're gonna check you out. We're gonna make sure you are who you say you are. And based upon the information we receive, we will go with that and go from there. It's not all of this, you got to be around 155,000 years sort of thing. That's what I'm gathering. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Brother Lewis. Add to it, take away from it.
Well, I mean, the Grand Lodge has been in existence for at least 4 years.
Okay.
And you have to have at least 100 plus members. And the reason why you have that there is because at least, if you've been around for 4 years, there is some type of legitimacy, as opposed to somebody who just says, oh, we are a Grand Lodge. And the reason why there's an investigation is to make sure that in fact, you are a Grand Lodge and
Right.
not just saying that you are a Grand Lodge. So that's one of the differences. I mean, so it's not just anybody who can join. Of course, you have a lot of small lodges around the world that wants to join CLIPSAS because it gives them some legitimacy. And that's the reason why, we have those stipulations where at least 4 years old and 100 plus members, because a lot of lodges around the world have 30, 40, 50, 60 members. And that's really not enough, to join. And if that's one of the reasons why, some of the other big lodges in CLIPSAS, were a bit, sort of like upset because there were too many small lodges that were joining CLIPSAS, which of course kind of negate their powers in a sense.
Oh, so they felt kind of threatened from the little guy.
Well, that they may have. I mean, although, my argument is, you're established, you're powerful, you're big, you should be a leader. You shouldn't be trying to rule everybody, but be a leader collectively,
Right.
to help everybody else, not just to rule or to do anything else. And with some Grand Lodges that are powerful, they'll sign different treaties and they'll hold you to those treaties, which means you have to do what they say. Otherwise, you become a non-person, so to speak. So.
All right.
So it doesn't.
Go ahead.
So it doesn't matter if you 3, 4, 5, or 6 letter, as long as you got those qualifications that you just mentioned.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You said 3 of our letters.
I said it doesn't matter if you're 3 letter, 4 letter, 5 letter, as long as you got the credentials that you just said and they passed the investigation.
Right. Basically, I mean, you have to be a bona fide Grand Lodge. I mean, some
Right.
Grand Lodge are 3 letters, some are 4 letters. Most CLIPSAS members are 4 letters, although we have the ones who are also 3 letters. I don't know if any who are 5 or 6, but
I was just throwing that in. But
yeah. No, yeah, at least. I mean, you have to be a recognizable lodge, and that's the reason why you have the investigation. And they'll send somebody, again, somebody from the country, if there is a lodge in the country, or if there's no lodge in the country, then the lodge will come from overseas, South America, Europe, or whatever the case. We have lodges here in America, so we have to investigate someone here who wants to join. Of course, we have South Carolina, we have Canada, we have New Jersey, we have South America. So, we have lodges that we can send to investigate. And we try to be, as open-minded as possible.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to just read over some of the things. One brother posted Flex. I don't know if you're familiar with the Flex Society. It says the Flex.
Philaletz or Philet?
It's spelled Phylaxis. Flex.
PHYL.
Yeah, AXIS.
Philax. No.
Yeah, that is a. Okay. That is a particular website that Prince Hall Masons, they tend to list various other organizations upon this website that they would consider to be clandestine or bogus.
Well, again, we talk about clandestine and who and regular or irregular. If we're all supposed to be Masons, what's the difference? What makes you regular and what makes me irregular? What makes me regular and what makes you irregular? And if we all work in the same ritual, and that's one of the reasons why CLIPSAS was created, because of that schism that happened within the Grand Order of England and the Grand Order of France. There was a time when everybody was working together, but when it came time to who's going to rule who, then of course you had the divide.
Yeah, let's see. Greetings, my brothers of the CLIPSAS. Okay, so I was reading some things. It's pretty interesting, the things I'm reading in this chat. I'm just being honest with you. Some of them I won't even say anything about because I think sometimes people miss the philosophy. They miss what Masonry is truly supposed to be about when you're talking about making good men better. Now, my personal belief on that, I believe that Masonry make good men Masons, not better, but Masons, based upon you wanting to be a part of the Freemasons. So that's how I see it. But looking in this chat over here, when brothers like to throw up lineage. They like to throw up other stuff. It seems to me it's like a roadblock, or you're putting obstacles in individuals or Grand Lodge's way because you're not with them. And this is the opposite of what CLIPSAS stands for. This is what I see.
Well, I mean, as I said before, if we were to work together as true Masons, if we were to be who we say we are, we would be a very powerful entity.
Right.
If you have somebody who's going to say, well, you're different because you're this or you're that, then I'm better than you or whatever, then that's a problem. So who's the true Mason? I had a Grand Master who would, one of his favorite saying was that, Masons is on the lips of many, but it's in the hearts of few.
Ooh, you need to repeat that again.
Masonry is on the lips of many, but it's in the hearts of few. So when I get questions about, who is and who isn't, I say, well, where's your Masonry? Because I know where mine is at. And we have a lot of Masons who talk the talk, but they don't do the walk.
Ooh.
So it's and I mean, CLIPSAS is not perfect, but we have done a lot of good around the world, in different countries around the world. And I mean, I'm the first Black American to be president of CLIPSAS, which is primarily a European organization. I was secretary for almost 11 years. That was unheard of.
Wow.
I was the first Black, colloquium vice president. That was also unheard of. So, I have a lot of firsts when it comes to CLIPSAS. And as I mentioned before, I'm probably the first Mason to ever spoke at the UN, at the Security Council of the United Nations. That has never happened before. Not even Grand Lodge of England that I know of has had a member speak, or any regular Mason speak at the United Nations. So it shows just, what we're doing, as opposed to just, talking the talk.
Right. So I have people on the Zoom that those who are on the YT can't see or hear from. So I have Noble Crawford. Greetings. Noble Crawford. Hello. Greetings. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to need.
Oh, yes, I hear you. Greetings, Grant. Greetings.
That's all right. So what we try to do here is on this particular panel, if you're going to be a panel, you're going to come on this channel live, you got to participate. So I don't want anybody saying, let by and really not participating. So if you got something you need to ask or a question you need to ask, please go right ahead. The same will go for Roosevelt, and the same will go for Brother Andrew. So, and please, if you can, kill that noise in your background. I had to mute you on that one, Noble Crawford. Had to mute you on that. So, in all of you, so I'm hearing that there's been a lot of first, the first this and first that. And with that being said, how does one get elected to these various positions that you have held?
Well, you have to be, you have to, be able to make friends and work. And ever since I started going to CLIPSAS, I like what they stood for.
Okay.
And the first chance I got to be elected to CLIPSAS office, I took it. And I guess, with people, and you have to be elected by the General Assembly. So you got to be able to make contact and do networking and get everybody to know you and know that you're serious and what you stand for. And I think that, my work ethic probably showed, to different organizations, and they elected me. I don't want to toot my own horn, but when I was
no, go ahead, go ahead and do that, because
when I was elected president, it was, my opponent got 3 votes.
Wow.
So it was almost, a slide, and he got 3 votes from his own organization, plus 2 others. So that kind of shows that, I've done some good work, and, I was recognized for that.
Okay.
And today I'm one of the senior members of CLIPSAS, as far as being in the organization for, over close to 20 plus years.
Wow.
I have a question. When you say you work, is it all about work, or is it, how do you depict the characters of the brothers who get in these positions? Because sometimes it destroys them. They forget the oath and obligation. So I want to know, how do you keep it a steady, keep it on an even plane, where their character is just as effective as they're putting in their work?
Right. I mean, CLIPSAS always keeps in touch with the members. And through the work of the different Grand Lodges, we get to know, who does the work. Of course, somebody may get in charge, and they may deviate from whatever the plan is. That's always a risk that you're going to take. But by and large, we've had those who've been selected have always been, who they say they are. Now, there's been some occasions where they have elected the wrong person. I mean, we had the first female president of CLIPSAS turned out to be, the wrong person. And then she had to resign a few months after she was elected, because she wasn't the right person. We've had treasurers, who've also not done the right work. Yeah, so I mean, you can not always get the right person, but for the most part you do. And if somebody is not the right person, well, there are ways to get them to step down, or the assembly will just vote them out of office, especially if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. But so far, we've been kind of lucky with everybody that's been elected.
It's sort of funny you say that. I want to go back to earlier discussion we had in regards to France. How long was France part of CLIPSAS before it moved on to do whatever it's doing now?
Well, France is the Grand Orient of France is one of the founding members of CLIPSAS. It was the Grand Orient of France, the Grand Orient of Belgium, the Grand Orient of Switzerland, the Grand Lodge of Italy, Grand Lodge of Portugal, the Grand Lodge of Spain, and also Luxembourg. Those are the ones who founded CLIPSAS. So the Grand Orient of France was always a part of CLIPSAS. Now you gotta realize that when I first joined CLIPSAS, everything was centered in Europe. All the presidents would be either from France or from Belgium for the most part.
Right.
And when I started going to CLIPSAS, that was the norm. And we didn't have anybody from any other parts of the world that was you had a vice president of CLIPSAS, because every continent has a vice president, right? Vice president. So you had one from America. But as far as having being a secretary or being a treasurer or being a president, which is the principal offices, everybody was from Europe. So I was the first one from America, other than the vice president, which is from America, to hold an office that was never held by anybody else but a European.
Mm. Well, I was thinking this says a lot in regards to your character and what you bring to the organization as a whole, and especially the work that you're doing here on the state side. And I don't think a lot of people know exactly the type of work that you do Masonically. Would you like to elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, I mean,
come on, toot your own horn. Don't hold back.
I work for the, I would like to say, for the glory of Masonry. And I've done a lot of work in South America, particularly in Colombia and in Peru. And I've traveled to Africa. And one of the notables about my tenure as president of CLIPSAS was I was able to bring back the Africans to CLIPSAS, because Africa had, in essence, left CLIPSAS because they were kind of disenchanted by how the Europeans are running things. And I also work the United Nations, the ECOSOC branch. And, through that, I've met different NGOs, and we have worked, done work in Madagascar. We have done work in Togo. We're helping the poorer section of the population there. We have done work in Brazil with some of the Grand Lodge of Paraná, which is a member of CLIPSAS, helping the youth. We have done work in Austria doing the same thing. So as part of ECOSOC, I've made a lot of contact and done a lot of work in that respect.
So for me, hearing all that, it seems like CLIPSAS is really using those working tools of the foundation of Freemasonry.
Well, yeah. I mean, even though it's not a Grand Lodge, but again, working through the Grand Lodges, it has done a lot of work. And I mean, it's again, there's a lot more work to be done, and we can never do enough because there's so much to be done. But if you can help one person, well, you've done quite a bit.
Well, that says a lot, only because most people don't want to toot their horn because a lot of people are humble. But I've learned that sometimes if you don't pat yourself on the back, nobody else is. Whenever you have that opportunity to say, look, this is what I've actually done. It's not that you're trying to be cocky or nothing. But sometimes people need to understand, when you got a person who's actually put in the work, it's okay because your work speaks for itself. An old song that my mother and fathers used to sing back in the day is may the work I've done speak for me. And what I'm hearing you say is that CLIPSAS, in your part that you have in it, has done a lot of work all around the world.
Literally all around the world. Literally all around the world. We have built, working with the Mexican Grand Lodge, we have built houses in Africa using the materials that they have there. Unfortunately, it only lasted for a short time. But that's something exemplary that you don't hear about too often.
And that's the thing. When we talk about building, you're actually doing the work. So to me, who wouldn't want to be a part of an association like that, who actually does the work, who actually can say, look, this is what we actually do. Okay, so you may have Masonic treaties, you may have Masonic recognition with whomever, but this is the work. This is what we put in. Is there any type of work like that that you that the organization itself has done on the state side?
Well, the state is a very rich country.
Okay.
And the lodges here are I'm not going to say that they're rich, but we tend to concentrate more on that part of the world that's most needed.
Okay. Makes a lot of sense.
And it's not that we haven't we haven't done anything here, but nothing that's very notable, because most lodges here, the American lodges are more symbolical in a sense that they're more charitable, whereas the European lodges are more philosophical in a sense. So they do, they study more and they do different things. So here, we are more known. Lodges in Europe don't advertise themselves. You'll see a building, it may have a square and compass, but you got to look to really see it. So it's not like here where it's open.
Okay.
There's a big difference, as far as the rest of the world is concerned. So, in America, Masons do a lot as far as helping the community. And in CLIPSAS, that is not it. I mean, we try to change that by working throughout the whole world, bringing that little part to it. So that's what I do. Since we work here with the community, I try to bring the same ideal to CLIPSAS. We work in the community. We do this, we do that. We're visible, so people know about us. So we try to do the same thing when it comes to CLIPSAS. And when I travel to Colombia, for instance, Colombia has a lot of lodges and it has a lot of Masons. But when I speak to these brothers and some of the sisters, they don't do anything as far as working in the community, like we do here. And nobody. I mean, they know there's Masons, but nobody really knows that they're out there. So with CLIPSA, we tried to at least to change that. When I was president, we would try to recognize an organization in whatever country that was hosting the meeting, which was the first. And the first time I did that was when I was in the meeting was in Argentina, and we were able to recognize a person in the community who was not a Mason for the work that she had done in the community. And we try to bring more of that. And this also builds the image of CLIPSAS and the image of Masonry as well.
So with that, is that something that they still do today, or is that something that you brought in and now it's faded out?
No, it's still being done. It's still being done. As a matter of fact, when I became president of FASCREA this past October, we have a project in Argentina and trying to work with the youths, to bring them into not so much the fold of CLIPSAS, but to bring them, to be more fruitful. And there's different projects that the Grand Lodge of Argentina has brought forth, and so we're going to use that as a platform, to help the different parts of different young people of that society. And if it works there, then we could take it to the ECOSOC, the UN branch, and probably expand it throughout the whole world.
Now that says a lot. I mean, really, just for you to be here tonight, I don't know how many people really knew or know the association itself and what it has done, what it offers in the unification or bringing forth of various jurisdictions into the fold to do that type of work. My question to those who are in the chat tonight is, how many of you have ever heard of CLIPSAS and the work that they do? Besides those who already are members, I know we got some of the individuals in the chat tonight who may already be members of CLIPSAS, but for those who are not, and my thing would be them being so, it sounds really like a huge associations of Grand Lodges to be spread it all over the world with various Masonic bodies. That really sounds great to me. I mean, I'm just speaking for myself and what it offers. And like you said, hey, for me, I can't wait to travel with you. And I got to get those dates so I can make sure I put it on my schedule too.
Well, we'll welcome you, brother. And I mean, one of the beauties about CLIPSAS is that you get to meet different brothers from different parts of the world. I mean, literally from different parts of the world. And then, when we say we travel in foreign countries, well, that's what CLIPSAS is all about. You actually travel in foreign countries, and you get to meet in different lodges. You get to meet different brothers, and these are contacts that that last forever. I mean, there's no country in the world that I can't go to that I don't know somebody. And I mean, I'll tell you a story that happened to me a few years ago. It just kind of shows you just how brothers work. I was going to a meeting in Italy, the southern part of Italy. And it was myself and my Grand Commander at the time, Brother Lennox Tanis. And we were on a train heading in the wrong direction. And I mean, Europe has high-speed trains, so these things move like 300 kilometers per hour. So we were on this high-speed train moving in the wrong direction. And when I realized that we were going the wrong way, so I got on my phone and I called the brother who was in charge of the external affairs of the Grand Lodge of Italy. On a train in the middle of the night, I told him, we said, we're heading in the wrong direction. He said to me, what's the next station? So I was able to find a conductor and ask him what's the next station. He says, get off at the next station. Middle of the night, somewhere in Italy, we got off at the next station and there was a car waiting for us to take us to our destination. I mean, that just shows you, the power of brotherhood and, and what it is to be connected throughout the world.
Let me call you back in just a minute, Linda. Yeah, I was trying to get rid of these phone calls. Sorry about
Mhm.
There you go. That's better. I was family was calling. But anyway, with that being said, and you made that phone call, there's a car there waiting for you. What does that do for you? I mean, as far as where you're at, you're trying to make things happen. Is that to you, is that how masonry is supposed to be? Because I'm listening to that story. It sounds like something out of the movies.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, you pick up the phone, you call a brother in a foreign country, and you get off at a station in the middle of nowhere, and there's a car waiting for you to take you to the destination, which was 3 hours in the opposite direction.
Wow.
So that's true masonry. That's true the spirit of brotherhood. I mean, and we hear stories here in America of brothers helping brothers. White or black doesn't make a difference. So that, I mean, if that can happen outside the lodge, why can't we work in the lodge? Towards a
Ooh.
better future.
That is the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
That's when you really consider the story, well, not just the story, when you consider the experience that you just shared with us, and this is going to be shared with a lot of other individuals. But when you consider that experience that you just shared, that's the experience you should have in masonry, regardless of what jurisdiction you're a part of.
Well, it should be. I mean, it should be. I mean, that's true masonry. And I mean, I have tons of stories about being helped when I got into Europe. I mean, I was heading to Albania a couple of years ago, and they had an earthquake. I didn't find out till I got to the airport that they had an earthquake. So I called the brother, and he says, well, we have an earthquake, but you can still come. I said, well, you guys are going to be busy. So I'm stranded in Rome. I have no hotel, and all the plans were to go to Albania. So I picked up the phone and I called a brother in Rome. And again, for a whole week, they put me and my girlfriend to put us up in a hotel, all expenses paid. And again, that's true brotherhood.
That is true brotherhood.
Yeah, I mean, you don't find that throughout as anywhere you go. I mean, so when we have visitors from other parts of the world, I try to reciprocate and do the same thing for them. I mean, yeah, we can't pay for everything, but I
Right.
try to make sure that in fact they have a good time, and if anything is wrong, that somebody's there to respond, to help them out. So
Right.
I kind of do my little part in helping. But I have lots of stories to tell that I can tell about being helped, other parts of the world, because of things that have happened beyond my control. And
Right.
that is true. And that's what CLIPSAS does. I mean, once you become a part of it, you're a brother around the world. So.
Well, to me, listening to this is what sets CLIPSAS aside from other associations, and not taking nothing from them, because my Grand Lodge is part of various confederations, associations of Grand Lodges. But hearing that and understanding what you do as a collective body, that really says a lot. And for those who have never heard of CLIPSAS, this gives them that tad bit of insight. And I know that many brothers out of New York may know who you are, and there's some on the out west that may not, but this gives CLIPSAS this opportunity to share itself with the world, because it's on a world stage already. But this really kind of shares it with those who may have not known, because I'm looking in the chat and there are individuals saying, I've never heard of CLIPSAS or what it's all about. But this is an opportunity for them to know for themselves, and including myself, listening to what you have brought forth, and knowing that I know Grandmaster Rashid Muhammad. We've met, we've had great fellowship together, but I didn't know he was a part of it until he told me about it and then introduced me to you. So this is that great thing about masonry and how it joins and brings individuals together. This is what I get.
Right. I mean, when we speak of the U.S., CLIPSAS may not be known in the U.S., but anywhere you go in the world, they know what CLIPSAS is and what it is all about. Of course, if you was to look at some of the white lodges, like the Grand Lodge of New York, they know what CLIPSAS is, and probably some of the other lodges may know what CLIPSAS is, who CLIPSAS is. But when it comes to our black lodges, there might be a void as far as knowing what CLIPSAS is, because mainly we don't go beyond our borders. We're just right here. And the thing is, we need to expand and go other places to see different things. And that it's again, we talk about traveling foreign lodges. Yeah, and it opens your eyes to to what the rest of the world is doing and what's going on in the rest of the world, and how Masonry should really work.
Right.
I know there's always a question of the female Mason, because some brothers, again, they're not up with female being Masons and whatnot. But again, that's only a thought here in America. There may be other pockets around the world that have the same feeling, but generally the rest of the world is open, and you have women lodges everywhere.
And that's the thing. I was talking to a brother not long ago. I said, if you was in a car accident and you needed instant help, didn't have a cell, things are just terrible, and you needed that help, would you give or tell your person who was with you how to give certain signs in order to get the assistance that you needed, knowing that they're a female? Would you do that? And they looked at me and just smiled. I'm like, hey, you need the help. How would you handle that situation? But that was hypothetically speaking, but that just goes to show you that outside of the boundaries of the United States, Masonry is bigger than what we perceive it to be here in the States. As you said earlier, in regards to the work we do and the donations and all of that. But with CLIPSAS, it just seems to say, okay, you're welcome, and I always say, you always want to go where you are accepted, respected, and you're just welcome.
And that's what it is. I mean, again, it's a one big family. And again, as I mentioned before, one of the past president, his goal was to unite that which was dispersed, which is one of the mottos of CLIPSAS, uniting that which is dispersed, meaning those lodges that are around the world that are not working together for whatever reason, and of a liberal-minded way of thinking, join us, be a part of this big family. And, working together collectively, you become a strong entity. I mean, if you separate your fingers on your fists, everybody it's all separate. But if you make one fist, now you got a really strong punch, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And that's what CLIPSAS is. Yeah.
So they were asking, well, not they, but I have a brother HRU is asking for your email. That's up to you if you want to put your email out there or not.
Well, I mean, you have my email.
I have your email.
Yeah, you could give it to him.
Okay.
And I mean, if any other brothers want it, you could also give it. I don't have a problem doing that.
Okay.
I mean, if they have a question or they, something that they want to talk about, that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, I would consider sharing your email only with your will and permission, and I will do that later on.
Sure, no problem.
All right, later on. So with that being said, Brother Nico Sanchez, how you doing there, sir? This is good stuff. We'll talk about that. Did I lose Brother Nico? Brother Nico, what you got going on this evening? I know you got a question for me.
Oh no, I'm first of all, I've been sitting back. I'm on a long drive right now.
Okay.
I've been sitting back just listening to what our guest has been talking about, and all I can think about is all of the different encounters that I've had as a Mason in my travels, especially now with my position as the assistant ambassador for our jurisdiction. I keep thinking about the Masons that I encounter that do not choose to have those interactions with me just because of my jurisdiction. Where me personally, I don't care about how many letters you have, before or after your jurisdiction. You're a Mason and I find you to be a worthy brother, and that's pretty much it. So to hear that there are Masons around the world that are working together under the banner of one organization, to me is very, very, the word I'm trying to think of is very, very comforting to know that that the ignorance of the separation of the different jurisdictions isn't bleeding over into the international community. So I'm just happy to hear that our brothers are, working together, and I'm definitely going to do, my research to see how I can become a member, because I'm getting ready. Next year is going to be a traveling year for me, so I definitely would love to be a member of it. With me going to Scotland and the UK and a couple other places overseas, I would love to be able to fellowship with other Masons there. So, I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else in regards to it, but me personally, I think that's beautiful.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. We're working on something.
If you travel to the UK, you might have a hard time. Probably, visiting a lot. They may let you visit the lodge. I don't know if they actually.
He won't have no hard time if he goes to the UK. We have a lodge in the UK.
There you go.
169. He's not going to have a hard time at all.
I mean, Ireland and Scotland, we have members. Well, we don't have members there, but we have affiliations there. So, we had a lodge that belonged to, was in the UK a while back, but they haven't been with us for a number of years.
Well, I know once we have talked and kind of rectified and gotten things situation for this jurisdiction. Like I said, we have a lodge over in the UK that works with us. It's chartered by our Grand Lodge here in the States. That is Mystic Lodge 169. And they are very active there. And definitely, I will pass that information on over to you in regards to that lodge there. So, no, brother Sanchez, you're gonna be all right. So, look, I don't have anything to add. I think my questioning has been answered tonight. I don't know about those in the chat, whether they have or have not, but definitely I'm asking them to hit the like button. And if they have any questions that they want to ask, it's kind of open flow right now. I could see why. Okay. All right. I see that. Yeah, definitely. If you have questions right now, if you got a question you want to ask, this is the time. If you're in the chat, let's see what you got right here. Okay. It's definitely happening in an international community. Like Kemet, this is without the, I was trying to understand that, but Brother Daly, are you able to see what the chat is like over if you're on YouTube or not?
I'm not on it, but I could get on. Give me a sec.
You'll have to mute that YouTube in order to, so it doesn't have the reverb in it.
YouTube, what
You just go to if you go to John G. Jones, it'll say Research Lodge 147. It'll pop up, and then you'll probably see us live. Definitely.
John?
Yep, John G. Jones. Andrew, can you hear me, Andrew?
Yes, I can. How you doing,
Okay. I'm all right. I'm all right. Do you have any questions you want to ask? You've been quiet tonight.
Oh, I'm an observer and supporter of my good brother Daly. He's given you some good information. I've traveled a number of times, and believe me, he only gave you a small nugget of some of the experience we've had.
Oh, so you travel with him, huh?
I have been a couple of places where the wife would let me take off and leave, but and as far as my cable tow would allow, but
Right.
to Belgium, Canada, and a few other spots, and believe me, it's actually great to watch and learn from the other brothers from other areas, just the way they conduct themselves, and you kind of compare, contrast how we are, in the way they operate.
Okay. I have a question. Brother Andrew, are you in the same Grand Lodge as Brother Daly?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds interesting.
And learn from the other brothers from other areas, just the way they conduct themselves, and you kind of compare, contrast how we are, you know, in the way they operate.
Okay. I have a question. Brother Andrew, are you in the same Grand Lodge as Brother Daly?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. You're
Yeah,
gonna
he's-
have to
he's-
keep that YouTube.
And learn from the other brothers from other areas. This way they conduct themselves, and you kind of compare and contrast how we are, you know, in the way they operate.
Okay. I have a question. Brother Andrew, are you in the same Grand Lodge as Brother Daly?
Yes, I am.
No, it sounds like we've got that reverb in the background. Brother Daly, you want to
Learn
mute
from
that
the
YouTube.
other brothers from other areas. This way they conduct themselves, and you kind of compare and contrast how we are, you know, in the way they operate.
Yeah, I had to mute Brother Daly. He got that reverb happening in the background there, Brother Ernest. Yeah, you may have to show him how to.
just muted
There
YouTube.
you go.
Yeah, Brother Andrew, Brother Green, Brother Ernest, they're all part of my Grand Lodge. Brother Green is Grand Sovereign Grand Commander. But I don't know if he wants to say a few words.
Yeah, I love for him to say a few words. Sovereign Grand Commander, sit in the cut. Come on, talk.
Put him on the spot.
Yeah. Sovereign Grand Commander Roosevelt Green. I'm asking you to unmute yourself. Come on. Come on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can, sir. Talk to me.
Oh, all right. Greetings to all brothers on all points of the compasses. As Brother Daly said, I'm also in his Grand Lodge. He's my Grand Master. And I've been a member of CLIPSAS, well, a part as a Grand Lodge for over 15 years. So everything that he said, I could ditto to, and then only be repeating.
That's what I'm talking about right there. So now since I got you on the spot, I might change this up a little bit. I understand you're the Sovereign Grand Commander.
I am.
What jurisdiction?
Omega Supreme Council, Northern Jurisdiction, New York.
Okay, all right. That's what I'm talking about right there. See, and you got to put it all out there, Sovereign Grand Commander. You can't be holding back on me. You can't. You just can't come on here like you the average guy. You can't do that.
Well, with respect to my Grand Master, I understand he was, the theme was CLIPSAS.
Oh,
So I didn't want to trample on
okay.
that in any way.
Okay, all right. Well, you know what I'm going to do, Sovereign Grand Commander? How would you, I would love to have you back on here.
No problem. We could exchange information. Brother Daly should have your information, and
Yeah.
okay, he can give you my information, and we can keep in touch.
Oh yeah, I got some questions for you. Are you in the same? Look at that, Brother Daly can't get. He got to keep that muted. Oh yeah, this has really been great. We've been on here for about an hour and a half now, a little bit longer, a little bit less. But I just want to say I thank each of you for your participation, what you brought, what you have said. This has really been an experience for myself, and definitely going to be an experience for my jurisdiction for once everything's kind of settled. Brother Daly, I'm going to put in this vacation. I just need to know the particulars for May so I can make sure that everything's a green light for me. I'm like Brother Roosevelt. I got to make sure my cable tour is long enough, and I'm ready to hit it.
We will talk. Yes.
Oh yeah.
The dates for the CLIPSAS meeting in Istanbul would be May 18th through the 21st.
May 18th through the 21st.
Well, the 18th is, when things actually get started as a colloquium. Then you have 2 days for the General Assembly, the Friday and Saturday. And then the Sunday would be when they would have the closing ceremonies, and that's when you would have the lodge meeting.
Okay, so I need the 18th, the 21st.
The 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st. So it's 4 days. Of course, you can take a bit more days than that because you want to see what the country's all about. So
Well, I would like to get there at least on the 20th.
What do you mean the 8th, on the 17th, if anything?
Yeah, the 17th. Yeah, my bad.
Well, I mean, we'll talk more, about that because there's a whole. It's not just a meeting, but there's also a gala night, You have gala affair where you wear you're dressed in your black and white or whatever. And then the host and lodge also has different things that they have for those coming into the country. So there's a lot to do. It's not just meetings and everything else.
Right. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it, and I'm certainly going to say these coins I got, man, put them together. Yeah, yeah, definitely going to do that. So look, I don't have anything else to add or ask of the panel tonight. We're going to make this happen, and we're going to get your email out there to those who want this email, and we're going to make sure that happens. Why do we act like this doesn't? Let me see. Oh, okay. This is Chris Wealthy. He asks, why do we act like this doesn't, and I think doesn't happen in all jurisdictions everywhere? Well, it doesn't a lot of times, and there's a lot of miscommunication, a lot of miss everything. So to have Brother Daly on with some of his members and other members from other jurisdictions on here, this really opens the door in regards to Freemasonry, what it is, what it isn't, in regards to what other jurisdictions are doing around the world. And I think CLIPSAS is a beacon, it's a light, and showing, hey, you know what? There are other associations out here that is a lot larger and a lot bigger than you may think. So, Brother Chris, that's just my point of view on this particular topic tonight. We do what we act like, and that doesn't okay. All right. Well, with that being said, thanks everybody. Grandmaster Lewis, you got in the last word, parting words for us?
Well, I mean, we're part of America, so we also have association that are just strictly for American lodges. Of course, they're based in South America, so you will need to brush up on your Spanish, if anything. And as I mentioned, when we first started, I'm the president of FASCREA, which is the Supreme Councils of America. We have our own other association as well. And there's also a World Supreme Council body that has other countries around the world, including the Grand Army of France, Belgium, Spain, all these other countries that we are also a part of. So there's a lot of things out there that's not just on the Grand Lodge level, but also the Supreme Council level as well. And we're just trying to work together to bring everything,
full circle,
keep us more full circle, and keep us working for what we're supposed to be doing, which is working for Masonry and being true Masons.
I would definitely like to know to have you and your Sovereign Grand Commander to come back on and talk about the United or the Supreme Council or affiliation or association of Supreme Councils. That sounds like that would be something interesting also.
Right. I mean, I think it would be, because again, it takes you outside of the country into other parts of the world that you don't know exist, and you see what other people are doing as well. So we have it. Again, the Omega Supreme Council has been a part of the Supreme Council of the world for many years.
Okay.
And being the president of FASCREA, which is the South American / Central American Supreme Council Association, it's a great honor for us, because I mean, being from North America and of course going to South America and being elected president, it's a big deal in a sense.
Right. Well, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty stoked about it. So I've said enough. And as I say always, we're here. We are not your study guy, but we are here to help you study. Whatever you do, keep your light on and definitely stay out those bushes. And until next time, everybody, please be safe wherever you go over the holidays, because it's pretty dangerous out there. So with that being said, I want to give a big thanks to the Grand Master of Omega Grand Lodge out of New York, to his members who are on here tonight, to the Sovereign Grand Commander. I want to say thank you.